Hello, and welcome to another episode of Mindset Monday. This is a spectacular day in August, August 12th, 2024. And I hope you had a spectacular weekend and a wonderful Monday. Today, we are enjoying another day as we continue with the series of preparing for wealth. We can never do too much preparation, as the adage say, an ounce of prevention means preparation is a pound of cure. So, therefore, being prepared, we are making use of the time we have and allowing ourselves to reduce the stressful level that life comes with in any way. So, whatever we can do to reduce the stress, we definitely need to do that. So, today is another day that we are preparing for wealth and we are looking at different scenarios. We know that life in itself is a cycle, and we live life in seasons. As Ecclesiastes 12, I think it's verse 1 says, to everything there's a season and a time for every purpose under heaven. So things change as the cycle of life continues. Things go around and around. So life is like a cycle. It's like you know, it starts here and you come right back around. So life cycle, life, we live life in seasons. So today we're gonna look at few questions that our viewers are vying asking for, and we're gonna share what we can and how we can help you to ask questions when you go to sit with your financial advisor, or you can rely on us so we can direct you in the right path. And today we have a special guest, none other than Jennifer Cantanda, who has been here assisting us with our needed little piquing of our interest and leading us where we can get information about where to go from here and how we can be equipped for life's challenges, life changes, life seasons. So, Jennifer, welcome again. Thank you for coming, and we're happy to have you.
Thank you, Miriam. I'm so great to be here. It's great to be here. And I love talking with you and your audience. It's always like we're having coffee together, just, shooting the breeze and just talking about things that are really our concerns today, and what's going on with everything, whether it's money or health proxies or anything like that. I think we do a good job of just talking it over and just giving the audience things that to work on or questions that we can answer. And I'm always happy to help in any way I can and getting the message out. And just it's really about just thinking on your own and making sure that you are the whole your whole financial foundation. I like to say your whole house, your financial house, is in order. And we love to make you think and bring things to you that we can talk about. And we always love the audience participation with great questions. And if I can't answer it or Miriam can't answer it, we'll get back to you with that answer. Okay.
Amen.
And thank you, Miriam, for
As
having
we,
me. I don't feel
there,
like a guest. I feel like home. I don't feel like a guest. I feel like this is home, right?
this is home for real. This is home. You are with family. Welcome
Absolutely.
home, I should say.
Yes, I
Welcome
see
home.
Anne Marie. I just want to say hi, Anne Marie. Hi, Nancy. Roslyn. Hello, family.
See, we're all family. They're here to learn, they're here to expand on the knowledge they do have, and they're also here to get information and sit down with their financial advisor or seek us out so we can direct them to the right financial advisor, that they can be informed that the different seasons of life that should come, they are more prepared for what is to come. So, as we know, it's August, and if you look in the commercial windows, if you listen to the commercials, a lot of them are actually steering to the holidays already. So we want to equip us so that we will not do things that we will regret at the end of the year or the beginning of January and say, man, had I listened, I would not have this debt, this debt. So we just want to help each other to, you know, put things in order, get our house in order so we are more prepared that when the that little nagging things, I want that. Then we say, okay, that was not on the agenda. Or I want that over there. Then we say, okay, we had a little thing put down for those little things. So we don't want to do any impulse buying. We just want to stay on the right track so we are well prepared, or be prepared as much as we can with the planning that we put in place. So today, oh, I'm gonna ask this question. And of course, guest, if you so desire, you can also chip in, because remember, this is not a monologue, it's a dialogue. We are having a discussion. So, how can individuals prepare their investments to withstand stock market volatility? Before you start answering, as we talk about, changes, we know 2008, when there was the stock market crash, when there was the whole market crash, and the economy came back around. So, viewers, remember, life goes in cycle, and no matter the preparation we make, there is not foolproof, but preparation will help us to pivot when things go sideways. So, Jen, how can individuals prepare their investments to withstand market volatility? This sounds like a very interesting
It
question.
is a good question. It's a wonderful question. I'll start off with a story, and I love that you talked about 2008. And I had a grandmother that we sold her house, and we had family members put that money in the stock market prior to 2008. And then when that hit, we lost grandma's money, and mind you, she was in a very, um, just a a very nice place that costs a lot of money, right? If you've ever looked into, or you have grandparents or people that are in a retirement home that are very nice, and, they have everything at their fingertips. It really devastated the family because of the fact that we lost 50% of our money, almost 50% of my grandmother's money in
Mm,
the stock market in 2008. So I saw that. I saw my stepfather's money, him lose a lot of money as well. And I think that's when I first was introduced to like the down of the stock market and what could happen and the devastation it can leave behind. So first and foremost, I have seen it, I've experienced it, I've watched loved ones lose a lot of money in the stock market. That's not to say that the stock market is very bad, but I think that you should know your risk. Like you said, like what is an individual, what can you withstand? And I think it's really important to ask yourself the question is, what is your risk tolerance? And are you putting all of your eggs in one basket? Are you diversifying? And it's so important when you're looking at this to see, am I putting everything in a risky investment? And can I sustain it? And I think it's very Well, first of all, let me just tell you, the only when I was younger, the only way I thought you could gain money was the stock market. I didn't know of any other investments. I knew real estate and stock market. So if that's you today, you can put it on the chat. I was going to say raise your hand, but we're not on Zoom, but put it in the chat and let us know. But as a young female, I think I was really good at budgeting the house, and I know about stock market, but I was intimidated to be in those circle of conversations because I didn't know enough about the stock market. And it just really, you don't really know, like, okay, there's real estate, there's stock market, what else is out there, I'm not sure. So as a young female, that was one of my concerns, is I didn't know a whole lot of investments that were out there. I have talked to women nowadays. When I sit down, because I am a financial professional, I sit down with other women that blow me away of how much they know. And I'm just blown away because of the fact that I was on the opposite side, not knowing, having to come in and learn on my own, take classes, hours and hours of classes of learning. And I realize not everybody has that time. And it is beneficial to sit down with somebody that has put in that time so that they can give you sound advice. But I want to tell you too, first and foremost, I'm not a financial advisor. I don't have my series license. So the advice that I'm giving you is a standpoint of a financial professional. I do have licenses that, can back some of the statements that I'm making today, so that I want to just make sure that everything we're talking, like Miriam said, this is a discussion of financial education and what we do know and what we've learned over the years and stuff. So you can do with it what you may. Um, but yeah, I think to answer your question, is being well diversified and knowing your risk tolerance. Can all my money sustain the market? That's really a scary place to put all your eggs in one basket. You could reap the benefits too, but you can also lose. For example, if there was a market loss of 50% and you lost, like 2008 was close to 50%. If
Mm-hmm.
we had another 2008, do you know the stock market would have to go up 100% to get your money back? Not just the initial 50% that you lost. I want you to take this really and think about this. If I was to lose 50% of my money in the market, I would have to gain 100% to get it all back. And when was the last time that you've seen the market go up 100%, right? So just understanding that there is math behind losing money. And if you really want to know, you have to do the math to see what you really lost. So going back to being well diversified and asking yourself, can I take the hit? Can I take the risk of losing my money in the stock market? And is that the only place that I can gain returns and have safety?
Well said, well said. As you said, being well diversified. And diversification do not mean you choose five different risky investments. No. You choose between moderate risky. So you choose investment that goes in the reverse. So one compensate the other. The little I know, so all of them are not going in the same direction, going down at the same time. One may be going up, the other one is going down. So being diversified, you are actually not plummeting with all of your investments at the same time. Awesome. So that big word, which is very good, it's not that big. Diversification. Awesome. And why is diversification important in building a resilient investment portfolio?
I want to going back to the foundation, right? Let's go back to the foundation, and what are the foundations of your money, and what are different things that you can put in order for your money. So let's just say we're building a house, right? The first thing we want to do is, when we do a foundation, I want you to know is that the family needs to be protected. Please hear me out on this, is that if something should happen to you, what is left for your family to have, right? And the family protection can be your health, it could be life insurance, it could be long term care, it could be anything that happens. I think when we talk about investment, we forget that what happens if I should get sick? What happens if, there's a critical illness? What happens if there's, an accident? We don't talk about that. We just talk about investments, but we don't talk about protection on our assets, right? So I think that the first thing I want to address is that the foundation needs to be put in place should something happen. The second thing is emergency fund, right? Right above your family protection, I want you to write this emergency fund. And
Amen.
that is something that you can have liquid. Look at Miriam's like looking around for a pen. I love it, right? Because we learn from each other. The first one is family protection. Am I protected against health? Do I have life insurance? Is long term care available to me? The second thing I want to talk about is emergency fund. Now, emergency fund is so important, and that should be liquid. It should be in the bank. It should be something that you can grab, right? Not to sell and try to get to it, but it's something more liquid for you, right? Not to sell as assets off, but just something that's very liquid. Um, the other thing I want to address too, on top of that, should be safe investments. Okay, safe investments. So that could be your house, that could be bonds, that could be an annuity, that could be an life insurance, an IUL, cash value life insurance, right? So that is a safer investment. With the cherry on top, that would be your riskier investments, right? That would be your stocks, your mutual funds, your IRA, your active money management accounts. These are things that are in the market that if they took a hit, right below it, you have your safe investment. I'm okay. I have my safety net. Under that, it's okay. I have my emergency fund. Under that, it's okay. My family is protected. So what we see is it's actually upside down. So can you take that foundation and flip it upside down and say, okay, on the bottom, my foundation is risky investments. My foundation of my home is stocks, mutual funds, IRAs, all these things. I have all those things, Jen. That's the foundation, right? But it's upside down if we don't have our safe investment. Do we have a safe investment in place for ourselves and our family? I look at the risky investment as like going to play the slots or going to the casino. You have that extra money where it's not going to hurt you if something should happen. I don't think it always should be the foundation of your home. The second thing is then it's upside down. So then you might have a safe investment or emergency fund, and then where did the family protection go, right? And that's why we see number one reason why people go into what they go into bankruptcy and they lose a lot of their assets is unforeseen medical expenses. Going back to the foundation. So it's a cake, a layering of a cake. It's a foundation of a home, and that's how I look at it. And when I sit down with people and it's upside down, I sit down with families and it's upside down. I get really concerned, and we talk about what are our options. How can we start getting into the safety zone of our assets and and that protection for our family, and we have that discussion. They're exposed. They're exposed, and that's a big concern for me.
Wonderful. The chat is very active. Let me just jump there because they are very active this evening, Jen. Um,
Okay.
Nancy said, "Hello, Jennifer. Thank you for sharing your knowledge with us." Anne Marie says, "What are some key ways to manage my money?" And I think this ties into the second question she asked: Is emergency fund sufficient? And I know you alluded to this before, but emergency fund, depending on your family dynamics and what you have at stake. So you can take the first. What are some key ways to manage my money? You can.
Yes, yes. Hello, Anne Marie. Always good to see you and hear from you. A big supporter of what we do here, so I love hearing that. Some key ways to manage my money is are it Anne Marie, are we talking about investments? Or are we just talking about managing my money in the sense of budgeting? if I could get a clear description on that. Just want to know that. And is the emergency funds sufficient? Emergency fund, and we have a question that's going to be asked here earlier, later on, but I'll go ahead and address it right now. Emergency fund is should be 3 to 6 months of a liquid, in the bank, like a liquid asset that you have in the bank, money in the bank that you can have. You want to have about 3 to 6 months. After COVID, I mean, who saw COVID coming, right? How many
Mm.
people didn't have an emergency fund? Okay, and didn't have the emergency fund, didn't have things in place. They didn't see that their job of 20, 30 years was now gone due to COVID. So it's so important to have things in place should something happen, right? 3 to 6 months is good. Anything more is still wonderful to have in place too, if you have that emergency fund there. So number one is having that emergency fund should something happen to your job, should something happen. And the pandemic, we all needed toilet paper, remember? So that was crazy, but we all of a sudden we all needed toilet paper. But just having an emergency fund there if you have to buy toilet paper, but really an emergency fund there for your family. Now when I say 3 to 6 months of emergency fund, I'm talking about what you bring home. So if you bring home five, you times that times three, that's going to be $15,000 in account, right? So making sure that whatever you're bringing home, that you have 3 to 6 months of that emergency fund, just to make sure that's clear. As far as investments, what are some key ways to manage my money in investments? I'll go back to the risk tolerance and what you're looking for.
Mhm.
There is short-term investments, there's long-term investments. Really, Anne Marie, it's sitting down with that individual and finding out what their goals are. So goals might be long-term, goals might be short-term. And then it also, we have to take in consider your risk tolerance, and even ask ourselves, and Miriam knows, ask ourselves what are the taxes that are going to be on taken off the top when I go to take this investment out, and or are there taxes? Because there are accounts out there that you are taxed on, and there's accounts out there that you're not taxed on. You already paid the taxes up front. Therefore, when you go to withdraw, if properly withdrawn, you don't have to take those tax hits. So there's so many things that when we're looking at investments, right? It could be real estate, it could be, something simple as, investing 15, $20 a month, depending on the individual. If you're going to retire and this is your retirement fund, I would say let's put away a little more than that as we get older, right? Maybe 15, $20 when you're a child might work for your retirement, but as you get just remember, as you get closer to retirement, there's a lot more money that we're going to have to put away.
Quite right. Um, Chancy, while you were talking about um, long-term care and health care, and that putting away that little money for the eventuality, she said this was indeed critical. She found that out when she became sick over 6 months ago. So for 6 months, she was basically did not have income, and had she not have a little safety net, then she would be totally in the red.
Absolutely. I love that you touched on this because this is a real life scenario, Tenzi, and it's real life and it happens, right? We don't The first thing I ask is, do you want to deplete everything that you're putting money into should you become sick or something happens? You work so hard to put money into an investment, so hard to build it. You have, some of us have been very strict on our lifestyle so that we can have these investments. The last thing you want to do is have some kind of sickness or illness that comes in and wipes it out. So, absolutely, when I say, I can't stress this enough, when I say to have that foundation laid down, because you want to be able to grab from something. I think life insurance and long term care and living benefits are absolutely amazing for this because I put money away every month, a little money every month, so that if something happens like that, I don't have to reach from my investments. I can reach from the insurance side, right? We have insurance for our cars, we have insurance for our phones, we have insurance for everything else but for our life and for our health, right? So let's make sure, and I'm not talking about health insurance you get at your work, right? That pays a portion. God forbid something happens, you go to the hospital, your employer usually doesn't cover the whole bill, right? I had somebody I knew, wife had a stroke. The bill was $1 million. He had $200,000 he had to pay. Where does that come out of? So these are real life situations that I sit down with people and I see the devastation of what it can happen when you don't have things in place. So, yes, absolutely. Having that foundation is so important because you want to keep your assets. You don't want to drain them. You work so hard from them. Can you imagine you have your retirement fund? You've worked since you were in your 20s, you built it up, something happens to you and you have to deplete it. That is real life. That happens. And for your viewers, some of you have known this, some of you have friends, some of you have family that you've seen this. Chime in if you've seen this in your own family, because we want to have this discussion. I don't want to give anybody the illusion that, oh, stocks, investments, everything, is great without knowing that foundation is set for you, because of the fact that sickness can happen and bills don't stop. The bills still come in, they
Yep.
don't stop. And then imagine if you're sick, the bills are coming in, now you're stressed out. Now somebody else has to take time out of their job to take care of you because nothing's in place. That can really devastate a family.
As
So, yeah.
Sorry, continue. Sorry to interrupt. Go ahead.
No,
As
that was fine. That was fine. Go ahead. I was done with my
Okay. As Tensi rightly said, during those 6 months, there was absolutely no income because she's self-employed. So if she doesn't go there, clock it, deal with the clients because she's a licensed clinician. So if she doesn't deal with clients, then there is no money coming in. So she is ready to learn about investments that have good returns. So as you're talking about the stock market and risky investments, just so viewers or you may be aware that the riskier the investment, the greater the return. So we know that when the stock market does its thing, you get huge dividend for the investments that you put in. But what we are basically saying is diversifying, I'm getting tongue tied, diversifying your portfolio so you don't only have risky investments. Because although those risky investments, once they go high, you reap great benefits. But when they plummet, it goes down to, although we know that the cycle goes around, but are you willing to get hit with everything you have, or are you ready to diversify? Yes, some risky, some moderate, and some are normal. They don't go either way.
Yes. Yes, and I just want to let your audience know that I want to complete their portfolio. I don't want to ever go against like a licensed advisor in that sense. I want to add to their portfolio and see, is there things that we've missed that in their portfolio, right? Because with I want you to know too, with financial advisors, they are paid to put your money in the market. So know that. On the other hand, you have to ask, is your financial advisor also life and health licensed to get you something in place for that too? So these are questions that you even need to find out about your own professional that's working with you, is if they can even offer that, because the foundation might not be there because they don't offer that. I just want to be clear on that.
Awesome. The Roberts family says volatility is truly not your friend for true long-term wealth. So true. And Nancy's asking, when we save that money aside, is it going to affect our social security money? how they how are they going to look into our savings retirement before benefits? I think she wants to know if it affects social security, but I could answer that partially, and then Jen, you could take that. uh, with investments, depending on the magnitude of your investment, a portion of your social security might be taxed. So it depends on your portfolio in terms of what you, when you're doing your taxes, what your financial is, what the monies you get over for the entire year. So, but not all of it. Up to 85% of your social security might be taxed, depending on the sizable portion of the monies that you're getting from retirement, or you're getting from other portfolios, uh, your 1099, depending on that huge amount. Some of the social security might be taxed.
Yes, I agree. Absolutely. It just depends on, you were talking about the magnitude, and then it also depends on your investment. Whether your money is in a tax-free account, a taxable account, or, tax deferred account. When you are mixing that Social Security with your investment as you're pulling from it, it's usually reflected on what your investment is. So if I have a tax-free investment and I am going to retire, chances are my money from Social Security will not be taxed. If I have monies that is taxable or tax deferred that I'm now withdrawing on, usually my Social Security will be taxed then, along with that kind of investment. Or if you mix it up and you're taking some for your tax free and your deferred, it will lower your taxes, but it won't put you in the tax free zone when it comes to Social Security. That is my understanding.
That's correct. Nice. The questions are coming in. Now, uh, there's one other question that came in. Let me see if I can pull that up from this other avenue. How do changes in interest rates, inflation, and unemployment rate influence the stock market and investment strategy? That's a whole mouthful. You want me to repeat that?
Well, we can break it down. We can
Yes.
definitely break it down.
So, go ahead.
So the first one was inflation. How does inflation affect our money?
Mm-hmm.
Well, we just saw it. I mean, I think that's very clear is how we saw inflation affect our money. We saw inflation go up. When we had COVID, we saw it go up to 9%. Now, on average, our inflation is 3 to 4%. So can you imagine, doubled and then some. That's why when you go to the pump, the gas station, that's why you get groceries. Everything around you has inflated. I feel like it's a lot more than 9%. I look at utility bills, I look at things like that, and it's tripled. I'm like, oh my goodness. So it's absolutely important to know that, is my money growing past inflation? Very important, right? Is my money growing past inflation? Because your money is being affected by inflation, especially as you go to retire. What you have in your accounts and what your portfolio looks like now, are we reflecting the inflation in the years to come? Today's dollar is not going to be, when you're ready to retire in the future, right? We have to be realistic about that. Is that inflation is a silent killer just as much as taxes are. So you have to make sure, is now, if inflation's going up 3 to 4% and your investment is growing 3%, you're not gaining anything. 3 to 4%, you're not gaining anything, right? You need to gain past the 3 to 4% to really make money in that investment to grow past inflation. So inflation eats at our money. We just don't realize it, especially if it's sitting in the bank not doing anything. That's the fastest way to lose money when it's just sitting there not doing anything for you, right? The emergency fund, yes, but anything more than an emergency fund, what are we doing with our money to hedge against that inflation? It has to grow past inflation.
That's facts. And then the next part, unemployment rates.
And unemployment rates, yeah, absolutely, that goes against everything. COVID, unemployment, we see that in the stock market, and with the recession, people are fearing the recession. So again, well, last week you saw the stock market drop even more than COVID. So these are real concerns, and when I talk to people, they don't realize that we did take a hit in the stock market, and they weren't even aware of it. So I empower people. I say, take a look at things. Let's, look at what, how we can diversify. Or are you okay taking those blows? Very important. Going back to how much does your money have to grow in order to get back what you just lost? We talked about that earlier.
And as inflation grows, the employers are looking to see how they can reduce their expenses. And just so you know, for any one of us that are investing our time with an employer, we are one of the biggest expense they have, which is salary. So as inflation goes up, the unemployment rate will go up because investors, employers are not going to take the hit. They are going to make sure that their their pocket or their investment is not nosediving lower than it should. So cutting the overhead expenses, which of course salary is one of the big overhead expenses for investors. So
Yes.
inflation, interest rate will affect the unemployment rate.
And
Absolutely.
that's why, and Miriam, that's why you see less and less with pensions. And now you have to you make sure that you are full time before we're even talking about a 401k. I mean, people don't realize that your corporate job isn't the only way to get an investment. I think people are like, oh, I got my job, I got my 401k, I got this, I got that in place, but they don't realize, hey, listen, I don't have to wait for my employer. I don't have to wait till I'm full time. I really want to get the word out that some of these kids that are working that will never see full time, or they'll never see a pension. We got to go in the private sector to start having these kids grow their money, start investing at a younger age, before they're waiting to get that corporate job, or before they're waiting to get that 401k. There's other ways to invest and grow their money. And, like I said, employers don't have the pensions, and everything's getting cut back along with what you said, the unemployment, but
Mhm.
they're taking away pensions. So how are people, going to have that dependable retirement when they go to retire as well? You have to talk to us.
Yeah, very good, very good. Uh, the next question they ask: how should recent market trends influence retirement planning strategies? I think you alluded to that before. You can just expand on it.
Can you repeat that for me? I'm sorry, Miriam.
That's okay.
I have an 8-year-old at home that was
Oh, I
telling me
know.
something.
You see that we are living real life, so
We are living real life.
we are balancing different things. Like I was
Please.
sharing a conversation earlier with someone that they were asking about sandwich generation because we
Oh,
were so so you're talking about you were with your mother
yes.
and your parents, and now you're 80-year old. So you're
I
dealing
am
with both
sandwich. I
spectrum
am
of,
sandwich generation right
sandwich generation. So we are living real life. We are educating, we are empowering our viewers, and we are still balancing our home life at the
now.
same time while we're doing that. So we understand, and they understand too.
Yes, absolutely.
How should recent market trends influence retirement planning strategies?
I'll go back to what are we comfortable with? Sitting down and finding out what we want to retire with. If it's risky, are we okay to take that hit? If it's not risky, we have personal pensions out there that are less, that are not even in the market. They mirror the market, they're not in the market. So definitely finding out what works for you, writing down some of your goals, what you want to retire with, and sitting down and understanding that, is your money going to be affected in the market? Are you okay taking that hit? And if you're not, making sure that you sit down with, Miriam or myself, and find out what else is available to secure that. And the great thing about it too is that we have, with technology and with software, we can input information nowadays that will tell us what you should be saving, what should be the rate of return, in order to get that goal. It's not as difficult as you are. I think, Miriam, the most difficult thing is sitting down with somebody, getting there to sit down and going, oh, I don't know if I want to know this. That's the most, getting in our head. And I think going and sitting down with a professional, I think that's the hardest thing to do. But when you do, you're glad you're there. Again,
Mhm.
Miriam and I provide complimentary. So you can't say it's the cost, Jen. I can't sit down with you because I can't afford you. That we'll just take that out of the equation. But what you can do is sit down and say, I'm concerned about my future. I want to know, will the money be there when I go to retire? Is there investments out there that will guarantee me a stream of income in my retirement? And to answer your question, yes, there is. And so we want to make sure that you do have that money to retire, that you do set your goals and your standards. I think I told you before, Miriam, that's like me trying to get to you in New York and not having a roadmap. We need a
Yes.
financial roadmap, and
Mhm.
it's okay to say I need help. As being at home, I honestly budgeted the house. I understood a lot of things, but a lot of things I didn't understand. And I'm so glad more women are empowering this too. I love the men, but I'm so glad more women are getting empowered by their finances, because they ran the household for so long. And now we're stepping out of just running the household, and we're understanding investments. We're understanding, making sure that we have a family legacy left behind. We making sure that I'm going to be okay. My family's going to be okay. That is a big concern. The market isn't as cold as it used to be. We at my firm are very much in touch with our community, our friends, our family. We sit there and we really care about what you're looking for in the future. What do you want in the future? It comes back with a simple plan of action, some goals set down on paper, and that's it. If you think about, when somebody is building a house or somebody's building a building, the first thing they have to do is they see it in their mind. Okay, I want to retire with this amount. I don't know if it's possible. Well, you don't know, but we can set things in place to get there, right? And everything that you do can set you to that goal. But you have, the second thing is, it goes from the mind, and then we write it down, the blueprint,
Yeah.
right? When we're looking at a building, we're looking at a home structure, we need to look at the blueprint. We need a bird's eye view of what's going on, what's coming in, what's going out, what's high, what's our high risk, what's our low risk, is everything in place? We got to talk about, what do you want to retire with? And then we can take it from there. But just, I think it's, the one thing is like, knowing you need to sit down and talk about it. That's the difference. Like, if we could go past that, then the sky's the limit, right? Because now we have great programs, we have great software that will spit out everything that you need to do, right? It's a matter of you doing it. So I can lead you there, and then the rest you got to, make sure that you're ready to do.
So it goes right back to the mindset, having the right mindset, get sitting down and getting the information, and then after getting the information, what you do, take action. So you ask, and then once you ask, and then Jen said, okay, I'll direct you to the right person, then you can reframe what you're asking, to make sure that it ties into what you ask, or the financial advisor that sits down with you, reiterate or rephrase what you're asking in your layman terms. So both persons will be on the same playing field, and then you take action. Okay, I would like to put this amount in risky, I would like to put this amount in moderate, and I would like to put this amount in safe. So depending on where you are in your retirement journey, then you can do all of that mix. So we go right back to, as Jen said, making sure that your eggs are not placed in the same basket, so when it turns over, everything is mashed up.
Yes, well
Okay.
said. Well said, Miriam.
Anne Marie says, we are very independent set of people. True, Anne Marie, but with the wealth of knowledge that's out there, with the wealth of information that is spiraling all over, we need to know what is important to us individually and for our families. Because although we're independent, when ca- catastrophe strikes, we become interdependent.
Yes.
So getting that safety net in place, and so we are still independent, but we may be in a position where we can assist someone because we were prepared. Our little nest was growing, and we are able to say, okay, let me help Auntie here because she did not have it, or she did not have what to do. So because we now have the information, let's use it and take action. And so that we can either be a philanthropist or we are there for our own family in the event something happens.
Yes, absolutely. And I'll well said. Anne Marie said, well said. And I'll go back to, I think with social media, there's so much information out there that we can be on in overload and not know what to do, right? And we take advice for, I got to invest my money in real estate. No, I got to invest my money over here. No, I got to invest my money over there. No, I got to buy a complex, or different things. I think that we have so much information out there, which I think is amazing. But I do think it goes both ways. It's also amazing, but I don't know if you've ever sat down and go, I'm more confused than when I started. I was out there researching one thing and I went through this rabbit hole and now I'm like more confused. I don't know what to do. Is so, social media makes you think. I think that's great, but really sitting down with somebody that's licensed, that knows your situation, that you can talk to and say, hey, this is where I want to go. This is where I want to be. Can I get there? Or what steps do I need to take now in order for the future to look really good for me, or me to be secure in my future? Or shoot, just have something besides Social Security, because I don't know what that's going to look like. So having those discussions is so important because of the fact that every individual has a different goal and no two plans look alike, right? So it's really important. I just wanted to say that too, is that social media is great, but you really should sit down with a licensed agent that can help you.
Well said. And as you are on that, Jen, as Nancy asked a question, I'm just going to add this part of it where she talks about Social Security, money, and savings and retirement. If there is, if you know, or if you may be aware that you will be getting a huge sum of money for during the tax year, it's good if you could make estimate payments so that it reduces the amount of taxes that you end up paying at the end of the year. Because I know for most people, when they see a huge tax liability, it freaks them out. So if you know that for people who are self-employed, or for people who who have investments, who know that they'll be getting a huge windfall, it's good to make estimate payments during the year. So speak to your tax professional and find out when are the times for estimate payments and how you can do that. So it reduces the stress of you having that huge tax bill when you file your taxes. All right. I know there are great questions this evening. And Jen, if you just want to summarize this in whatever way you see fit, uh, yes, we are people who wants to do what we want to do with our money, but also we want to help each other how to best live a, a less stressed life, because with preparation the stress is the stress level reduces. So you can bring us home with a summary of this whole thing. I'm laughing because you know
Because we have a good time, because
yes,
we're getting the word. I think
yes.
that Miriam is very passionate with taxes, and I'm really passionate with the investment and life insurance side. And the first thing I did when I came into the business or the world of investments and life insurance was I helped my own family. I'm still helping my family. I'm taking everything that I've learned and I'm educating my kids. The thing about it is we cannot be scared to have the conversations. We can't be scared to not knowing if we have enough in retirement, not knowing if we have right investments. It's not it's okay to have those conversations. It's okay to step out and start looking for that financial help, right? We don't have to carry that burden ourselves. We can get out there, we can talk to people, we can talk to you can talk to Miriam, you can talk to me. We can help you in your future. It doesn't, don't be devastated, or if the future doesn't look bright. I've sat down with many families that one time they sat down with me and I gave them some financial concepts and financial understanding. The future started looking brighter, because a lot of times people, especially the middle class, is not sitting down with anybody, or no one's sitting down with them. Your HR at work is not your financial advisor. Your HR at work is, can only give you so much information on the investments you get at work. So I just want to let you know, don't be afraid to sit down with, myself, with Miriam, to reach out so we can get you the information that you need, right? Working alongside your financial advisor, working alongside your CPA to make sure that everything is covered and there is no thrown punches in the future. Like, the best way to describe it is that we don't fail to plan. We plan, or we don't plan to fail, we fail to plan. And really we need to just make sure that we have those things set in our future. Like I said, a lot of us are mamas, a lot of us are dads, that we have budgeted the household. So this is just at another level. You think about budgeting, well, that's like investments, that's like retirement. It's just at another level. So let's level up. Let's see what our future looks like, and let's put the sunshine and the brightness back in, and speak to somebody that can give us some hope when everything else is hopeless. Let's get some hope back, right? All right, you guys. Thank you so much, Miriam, for having me on. Nothing but love, respect, and blessings for your audience. And I appreciate all of you. I appreciate the chat, and appreciate everybody that has their input. We always appreciate your input.
Thank you so much, Jen. As I'm gonna end with this, Habakkuk 2 verse 2. uh you know everything that we need as a Christian, I see the Bible has everything in it. It's permeated through all of the Bible. Uh, the scripture says, His divine power has given us everything that pertains to life and godliness. And this is also a part of it, because preparation is actually being a good steward. And once we're good stewards, we're able to live our lives in the best way, becoming the better, best version of ourselves based on how God has created us to live in abundance. And when Habakkuk 2, verse 2, it says, write the vision and make it plain on tablets. I'm gonna use it in this context. So when we are knowledgeable, or when we gain knowledge of what is there, we are able to see, because having it in our head, of course, it starts from the mindset, I need to do something. But reframing it and get up and sit with someone who is knowledgeable in that field, just as how I will go to get an opinion doc. Something is happening. I have, these are the symptoms I have, and he will, we'll go to do a test, and then the test will show, okay, this, so you need to do this. The same way, sit with your financial doctor. Let's call it a doctor, so they can diagnose what's going on, and then you can have an idea, you can have a blueprint, so you can build your financial house. So thank you for viewing. I hope this is very helpful. Again, we are happy to share this with you, and you can be assisted. We can give you free information, then direct you to the right source. If we are not the right source, who can help to get you on your path. Again, this is Miriam Edwards. Thank you, Jen, for coming on for another episode of Mindset Monday. Have a wonderful week as we prepare for our wealth.